and welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about Instagram for business. Now, I get a lot of people messaging me asking lots of different questions about Instagram and how I started my business through Instagram. So I thought I would make a video on it because I know a lot of people prefer to watch information rather than reading. So I thought I would do it on here as well as in a guide. Now, a little bit about me then. I quit my job July last year and decided to set up my own business and use Instagram for that. And I'd also set up a business previously in 2016, which I grew through Instagram also. And I've also got a little bit of following on my personal page as well on Instagram. So I wanted to run through some of the things that I would suggest for a startup or someone who's thinking about starting up their own business or even just their own personal brand page. A couple of points that I would suggest. Okay, so the first point that I recommend is really getting to know your niche. Now, sometimes when you start a page, you're not really sure if you're going to post about food, if you're going to post about fashion, if you're a products-based business, or if you're going to be a service-based business, and there's lots of different ideas going around in your head. I would advise to try and niche down as much as you can, but I also think it's okay if you do decide halfway through being in that niche that actually this is not for me, I think I'm going to start something else. That's totally fine. So if you, for instance, started doing lots of fashion posts and then you thought, okay, this isn't really me, I do like clothes, but you know, it's not fully my passion, and then you start posting about your lifestyle, that's okay. I think as long as you're open and honest with your audience that you are going to be posting a couple of different things now, then you know, they can choose whether to keep following you or to unfollow you. But I think it is really important to make sure that you know which niche you're in, because if you were following, for example, an influencer on Instagram for her fashion posts, and then you go on her Instagram and you notice like the last 12 posts have all been about her dog, but you don't really like dogs, not that that many people don't like dogs, but just an example, you might unfollow her because you're thinking, okay, well, I no longer, you know, she no longer serves a purpose for me because I used to look at her outfits and now she doesn't post outfits. So you could get that little bit of disappointment from your loyal fan base if you do decide to swap niche completely. But like for me, example, I've been doing fashion up until now, and while we're in quarantine, I just feel like, okay, I don't really want to post about fashion. I'm going to post more about my life, my home, what I'm eating, what I'm wearing as well. And that's okay because I told my followers exactly that's how I was feeling, and a lot of people voted that I should just post my lifestyle anyway. So that's why I think a niche is really important. And I think if you don't really know what your niche is, then, you know, take a couple moments to sit down and really think about all your interests and what you enjoy, and then yeah, just go for it. And yeah, if you don't feel like, okay, I've gone into a niche too early and I'm not really sure this is for me, it's totally fine. But overall, try and find a niche where you fit in. Now, the second point I've got is to plan your content. Now, sometimes you might, okay, say you're going to say, okay, I'm going to start a blog about architecture. Then you want to make sure that you've got enough content about architecture that you can post roughly once a day on. So I've got an example here. So I want to start a lifestyle brand, for example. And then, okay, so what's the core things I can do about a lifestyle brand? The home, gifts, and clothing. So if we just look at home, you know, I could do close-up images of products, I could do home inspo from accounts that aren't mine, I could do flat lays of products, and then look at gifts. Okay, I could do customer images, send things to it like influencers and get their images. See if you can get one gift and use it on multiple occasions, those sort of cool tip posts. IGTV video unboxing a gift. And then I've got the clothing then, I've got send them out to influencers and get influencers to take photos for you. Do a styling video, something like one t-shirt, 3 ways, for example. And maybe get inspo from other brands and maybe do a blog about how you found vintage finds that are similar to the stuff you're selling. One idea was the lifestyle brand. See how I've managed to niche down into loads of different subtopics there. So I think it's really important to try and plan your content whatever your niche is. So my third point is actually creating the content. Now, sometimes it can be a little bit daunting. If you were thinking, okay, I want to start a product-based business, but how would I get the good photos? I think it's super important to realise that people really, really appreciate genuine content. Now, if you're a little small business and you're running it from your spare bedroom or even your actual bedroom in your parents' house, for example, people will like to see that, okay? They like to see realness. So if you're pretending to be this massive company with all these fantastic product images when you're actually tiny and you're just doing it from your bedroom, there is a bit of an imbalance there. So don't worry about it if you haven't got amazing content at the beginning. But there are a couple of tips that I've got for you just to make them look a little bit more professional and aesthetic on your feed. And number one, that is lighting. Now you can get quite a lot of good studio lighting fairly reasonably priced online now. The ring light that I'm using to film this video, I think it was £80 when I first bought it. It's now only like £35 online. So, and this has lasted me since 2015 and it's now 2020. So that has definitely lasted me 5 years. So that £80 was a good investment and it's lasted me a long time. So yeah, have a look at affordable ways of getting better lighting. Ring light is a perfect example. £35, it probably lasts you 5 more years, and it's definitely helps with getting the good content photos. And then my second point is equipment. Now, if you're taking photos of clothing, for example, and you're doing it on your own in your bedroom, then having a tripod is just a no-brainer for any images. Even if you're taking stills of landscapes, it's still really crucial to have a good tripod. And then if you're doing, this is just pretty much for fashion anyway, is if you're trying to take photos of yourself, or even if you're trying to get a photo of a landscape and yourself in it as well, you want to get a remote control clicker. Now, these are brilliant for when you're taking photos on your own. They are a couple of pounds on Amazon. They connect via Bluetooth to your phone. You stick your phone in the tripod and use the Bluetooth clicker. And then this goes on to my other point, which is you can get a piece that goes on top of your tripod which will hold your phone in portrait mode so that you can take portrait photos for Instagram stories or videos for Instagram stories. So they're my 3 main equipments, but something for product photography that I found really useful is to get a big bit of card, maybe A2 bit of card and a bit of blue tack, and you stick the card up against the wall and then let it drape along the floor like that. I'll pop some photos of examples of where I've done this in the video, and then you stick the product in the centre with your ring light using your mobile phone camera and taking photos that way, and it is actually really effective and it does make me excited when I do photos like that myself. Step number 4 is to edit your content. Now, it's really important that you get the lighting right, yes, but sometimes the photo still isn't just quite right, and using simple apps like Lightroom from Adobe can help massively with making your photos look even more professional just from your phone. So yeah, I would recommend getting Lightroom by Adobe. You can get rid of the shadows, you can use presets, and they just make your photos look so amazing. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. It is free. You might have to pay for some presets, but again, it's probably the price of a coffee or 2, so it's definitely worth doing. Now, the second app that I use is Facetune, and I know a lot of people have got a little bit of stigma attached to Facetune because it does help you get rid of your spots in your bags and your lines, and you can make your teeth white and all those things, but using that teeth whitener tool can also help brighten up a background. It can help whiten up some bits of your product photography that has come up incorrect because of shadows and things like that. Also, it'll help you get rid of plug sockets. If you're trying to take a photo of an item and there's an ugly plug socket in the background, then you can get rid of those. There's plenty of things you can do on Facetune. It really is a really good app with quite a lot of high-tech technology inside it, which you'd have to pay hundreds of pounds to get somebody to do it on Photoshop. So Facetune is definitely a good one, one for your personal photos and for touching up photos, like I said, with plug sockets. Now, If you're taking photos of landscapes, or you're taking fashion photography outside and the sky is looking a little bit crap, then I would recommend downloading QuickShot. It's about £18 a year subscription, but if you're going to use it, then it's definitely worth downloading, because you can literally change the sky in an instant and it looks really realistic and it is really, really good. And so if you put a photo up and you've made the sky an orangey colour, it also puts like a filter across the whole photo to match with the sky, so it never really looks artificial, it just looks really, really professional. Now, the last app that I'm going to suggest, because I don't want to give too many apps, because sometimes too many apps can be overwhelming, but Canva. If you haven't heard of Canva by now, then you must be living under a rock. But I'm sorry if you haven't heard of it, but I'm glad that I'm telling you about it now, because it is just fantastic. It's such a great way to make logos, Facebook covers, Instagram posts, YouTube cover photos. I do my invoices on Canva, I create all my guides on Canva. It is just a one-stop shop for amazing things, which you'd usually pay a designer for, but you can get it for free on Canva. And I'm pretty sure their paid premium software isn't that much more expensive, where you can like make your backgrounds transparent on images as well. Now, my tip number 5 is to schedule your content. Now, I think it's super important that you schedule your content, especially when you're a brand and you're not sort of like creating content every day, you're posting old content or images. You can schedule your content using Hootsuite or Sprout Social or Buffer. Quite a lot of those apps have free versions. If you can't find it on the main page, sometimes scroll down to the footer where it says free plans available, and they are brilliant. You can just upload 7 photos and forget about posting for a whole week then. So it's a really great tool to have, and something that if you want to make your feed look an aesthetic, download Planoly or Preview to basically upload all your photos, and you can move them around to make them look aesthetically pleasing from a feed point of view, because that is really where you capture your followers' attention, and that's when they might decide to follow you. Now, number 6 is engagement. I think more than ever, it's really important to make a community online, especially if you're a brand. You need to create people who care about your brand and create a community. You want to reply to all your DMs, all your comments if you can, and yeah, just reach out to others, reach out to other people, message them, click on their DMs, message them, see how they're doing, and you will really build a great rapport with these people. It's better to have a small community who really care about your brand than have 10,000 followers of people who really wouldn't buy anything from you. So it's definitely worth engaging with the right people. And now my step number 7 is Instagram ads. I will have a course available on how I run my ads, and that's how I make most of my sales on Pethai, is through Instagram and Facebook ads. And yeah, you could literally just, you can do it yourself. You can just create a ad on Facebook Business Manager, and yeah, that is a good way to make sales or create brand awareness. Now, I hope these tips are helpful for you. I will put the PDF guide down below, so I would really appreciate it if you could download that as well, and let me know what you think of it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck with your businesses.